Daf Ayin Bet Amud Aleph, 23 lines down, a couple lines from the bottom. Mahu Gavra. There's a guy. So the last thing we had mentioned was that a predated shtar is asur because we don't want the guy to be able to collect from the first date that was written that's in the correct date, and therefore we don't want it done at all, even though the second date's accurate. Mahu Gavra the machine he lent his vineyard. He lent money, he borrowed money and gave his vineyard as a pledge, as a collateral. Achat pledge, the guy had it for 3 years. That's a key number because the guy has chazakah technically. Amarle, he then blackmailed the borrower. He said, if you sell me the vineyard, great. But if not, I'll hide the loan document. I'll say the bought. Right? And I don't need to prove that I bought it because I've been on it for 3 years. I have chazakah, squatting. To avoid this problem, the borrower went and gave up and he made a shtar that gifted the vineyard to his son, who's a katan. Then he sold it to the lender, make believe he sold it to him. Meanwhile, the sale obviously didn't go through. Obviously, the sale did not go through. Now, the money that the guy paid, is that like a documented loan, and therefore, he could collect it from lien properties to recoup that money? Odema is considered an oral loan. He only collects from unlien properties. Marbella says, עמוד בית מודה בשטר שכתבו אין צריך לקיימו. If a guy admits into the shtar, he admits he wrote the document, you don't need to verify it. So, and the government you could collect from Meshubad lien property. So we see over here, it's a verified document. He could collect. Mar said the Malay Rav, it tells him, how's that comparable? Hatam nitan la'katev. Rav Asi's case where you're saying he's allowed to do it, that's when it was a normal written document. Hacha, lo nitan la'katev. Over here, it wasn't supposed to be written because there was no sale happening. I think Remember, I was telling this over. Ravina says to him, Rabbi said earlier, by the predated document, we said it doesn't work because we don't want to collect from the second document. It's from the first date. Maybe you should say the same thing. It shouldn't have been written in the first place. That's why it's possible. You don't have to give a different excuse. Marley says, no, you can't compare Hatam by the case of the predated document. Granted, it doesn't work for the predated date in January, but it technically should work from the second date of May. But over here in the vineyard, there was no sale happening at all. Another question. What's the case of someone paying back for the improvement of land? What's going on? Someone stole a field from his friend and sold someone else. I stole an apple field, sold someone else, and that guy improved it. He added 10 more apple trees. Now the guy wants to return it to the original owner who was stolen from. The buyer collects from the thief. He collects he collects the principal value of the field from lien property. And the improvements that he made to the field, the $6,000 per tree, he could collect from unlien properties. So we see same thing over there. Maybe it shouldn't work at all because it shouldn't have been written. Hatam ilman damar nihale de lo likre gazlana ilman damar nihale de leka bemnuta mefayis len mare umokin le lishtare. We said earlier in Baba Kama that when someone steals someone else's property and sells it, he's going to go back to the original owner and either and buy it back, buy it off of him eventually, just because he wants to either keep his reputation, his integrity, or he doesn't want to be called a robber. So therefore, we can assume that this guy, when he sold it, he's going to go back to the original buyer and say, "Hey, sorry, I sold it. I stole it from you. I sold it. Let me buy it off you and keep that sale going through." And therefore, that'll be a good document. The fact that he bought it eventually, the fact that he bought it, therefore, it's a good sale. In our case, the vineyard, he's just trying to take it away from him. He can't validate the document. The whole thing's a farce. Mishnah. And poskina perot, we can't do a forward contract and pay in advance for fruits, right? Specifically fruits, as we'll see. Until there's a basic market. Once it's a basic market, poskin, you could do a contract. Even if this guy doesn't have it in stock, someone else has it in stock, that's okay. If he was the first guy to harvest, and therefore there's no market yet, no market price. He can enter a contract based on the stack that he has in his storage. So too, you can enter a contract on grapes that will be wine eventually. Zatim or olive storage for future oil. Or potter's clay that'll eventually turn into vessels. Or limestone that eventually will be used for lime. And you can even enter a forward contract for a seller for manure any time of the year, because all the times of the year this guy is having dung. Rabbi Yossi says you can't or enter a contract for manure unless he actually has it in stock to sell, not just in his fields, because that will probably be used. But Hachamim says, okay, in order to avoid a loss, he has to always say, I'm going to pay the highest price. Rabbi says, no. Even if he did not do the best price, the guy could say, tell me, give me today's price, the cheap price, or tell me at Maotai, or give me back my money. Refund. Rabbi Asi says, you cannot enter a forward contract based on the market price. Does that mean even like a central market? What's the problem with that? It's a wholesale. It's referring to town markets. They look because those prices are always fluctuating. Now, what's the original thought process? Does that mean he was thinking even the central market? But our Mishnah that said in Poskin you can't enter forward contracts for fruits. Actually, it's until the market price. Once it is a market price, Poskin. What's that case referring to where you can enter a contract? Our Mishnah says, meaning, what's the problem? Our problem is that that Mishnah sounds like the Mishnah seemingly says you're automatically allowed to do it on the basic market price. But if Rabbi Yochanan says it's always asur on the central market, how can the Mishnah make sense? So he said the Mishnah is referring to there's a whole the storage houses and ships of grains that have arrived, and therefore there is a solid, stable market price. In Bosquina, you can enter a price into fruits. Actually, say until the market price. Once the price has popped up, Bosquin, you could do a contract. Even in stock, the other guys in stock. You had the short ba'arba, let's say the new fruits were selling at 4 per pound. The old one are selling at 3 per pound. We'll call it 4 pounds per dollar, and the other one was 3 pounds per dollar. So the second one is more expensive. And poskin, you can enter forward contract for the new one until there's a prevailing price between both of them. You look at let's say the price of the gleaners. We mentioned this before in the halachot of Leket, this week's parasha. The poor people who walk through the fields to pick up the fallen items. That not good quality. The gleaner's quality is, let's say it was selling 4 pounds per dollar. The regular stuff was 3 per. And poskin, you can't do a forward contract to that price of the 4. It's a normal price between both of them. If you want, you can enter a forward contract with these guys who walk around at that price. It's a cheap price. Why is it different about it? Mutar. Because why? Because he can go, if he can't find over here, he'll find somewhere else, or he'll get from another gleaner, another locate guy. So maybe a borrower, a regular seller could also, if he doesn't have in stock, he could also buy it from a gleaner. One of these poor guys. No, if he's a regular seller, it's not nice for him to go to. He's not going to lower himself to go to this guy. If you're giving money to a regular seller and not a loket guy, you're expecting good quality. You're not expecting the low quality of the gleaners. You cannot borrow money to be paid with fruits on the price of the established market. Really say that you can't do that. They asked the question of Ramhuna. They borrow money in Tishrei, and they pay back with fruits during the month of Tevet, according to the original prices of Tishrei. Share or asur, is it allowed or asur? If wheat's available here and there, they want, they can buy themselves back. Meaning, it's the fact that it's readily available Doesn't make a difference if they exchanged it or not, and it's mutar. But we just said Rav Huna said it's asur. Mar says, Me'ikra sevar Rav Huna en lovin. Originally, Rav Huna said that you can't borrow it. Kevin Shemedla, the Hadam Shmuel Berachia, Baram Belazar, lovin. Once he heard that this rabbi said it's allowed, Amar Ihu Nami lovin, he said it's mutar. Someone's the guy was bringing a package of merchandise from one place to another to get a higher price. If his friend met him and said, "You know what? Give it to me, and I'll pay you the and I'll pay you the price over there. I'll pay you the higher price in the next town." Birshut mocher is considered in the seller's ownership, meaning meaning responsible. So the guy who's offering to take it for him and sell it for him, if he's not taking responsibility, then it's mutar because that's not considered a beat. Bishut lokeach, but if it is that guy's responsibility, so he has all the loss and not all the gain, asur, that's a beat. Someone brings from fruits to one place to the next. His friend says, "Then he gives me, I'll pay you back the same fruits that I have in that place." If he owns it at that second, mutar. If it's not, it's asur. The Hamarin donkey drivers who sell the products as they go. They can charge an expensive place, the same place they charge in a cheap place, who prepay. There's no problem with repeat. The reason is what they used to do is they used to buy fruits in a place where it was cheap, I mean like cheap villages. They'd bring it to the main cities and sell it. So what they would do is they would take prepayment from the cities and charge less, and they were fully responsible for it. So the reason why it's not repeat is right now. My tama, seemingly it's repeat, charging more. It's okay that they have advance payment, because when they arrive with the funds, they have big pockets because of all these advance payments. The suppliers open up the gates. They open up the thing. They receive good. They have good reputation, and therefore when they come in to buy the fruits, they're extending them credit, they get reduced pricing, and therefore it's not a rebate. So my benai, what's the difference between the two explanations? Right, we said one of them was two explanations. The difference is they come out a new merchant. So a new merchant, if he's not known yet, he doesn't have their trust, they won't give him a reduced funds based off of that. But if they are new, and he's dealing with a rich customer, he still can get the benefit that we just mentioned. Okay. One time in Surah, the fruits were going for $4 per pound, whatever it is. Four pounds per dollar. The Kafri Azan Shita and Kafri was going 6 for 6. Yeah, he Rav gave his money to the donkey drivers to get more than 4. And he took upon himself the responsibility that if it loses, it's his problem. So to avoid a repeat, and he took 5 instead of 4 and 5 instead of 6. 5, he made 1 zuz profit, but he didn't take the full 6. Vinish Koshita, how come he didn't take 6? Since he's Tamil Hacham, he's Hashuv, it's better for him to take less. Big doing advance payments for metal, or basically anything besides produce that we've mentioned. Ishmael wanted to do with linen clothing. Did not allow him. Ikadamri, different version. According to both versions, that we see that you can't advance payments with anything except for fruits. Regarding a vineyard, can you prepay for the yield of a vineyard? Rav Asar Shmuel Shareh. Rav says Asur Shmuel Mutar. Rav Asar came in the Kamei Shevet, since in the future will be worth more. It was like reward for waiting, which is a bit. Shmuel Shareh Shmuel says Mutar came in to have a bit tihua, since the vineyard a lot of things could happen to the vineyard and it'll get ruined easily. That's not considered reward because he's taking a lot of risk. Rav agrees. Even Rav would agree that it's mutar to advance pay when the grapes are harvested with oxen, because there's a lot of chances for more loss because the oxen could fall or step on it, and therefore it's mutar if it's harvested with oxen. Shmuel said that those who lended the seeds to the sharecroppers, right? So technically, usually sharecroppers should have to bring their own seeds, but he can technically borrow them from the landowner, and he could pay back the seeds afterward. But what would he tell them? Work the ground a little bit, so you can acquire rights to the land so that it doesn't look like a beat. Because he says, do a kinyan, like work on the ground, so that you can be acquiring part of the land that will be belonging completely to the landowner. And therefore, afterward, the guy can say that I acquired part of the seed that I lent out, because otherwise otherwise it would look like a loan that you're getting all the reward and none the loss, and that would be considered a beat because it's a loan.